Greetings and welcome to the third episode of Cities of Cyrodiil. As always, I'm your host, Elf Guy, and today we're going to be looking at 3 town mods to help, populate the landscapes and coastlines of the capital province of Tamriel, which was, woefully underpopulated in vanilla Oblivion. And we've got 3 really fantastic mods for you in this episode. But first, I did just want to go ahead and announce that episode 4, which will be airing next month, will feature Shazri's Town Mod Collection. Since that's basically 5 town mods merged together, that's the only mod we'll be looking at in episode 4, and I just wanted to give you all a heads up about that. And anyway, download links for all mods shown can be found in the video description below, so let's go ahead and get started with our popular town mod of the week, which this week is Urasek By Arthmoor. And this mod adds a small mining settlement outside the old Imperial Fort ruins of Urasek, and the town is quite naturally named after the fort here. It's really a fairly small town with a small, street leading off the Red Ring Road here that goes right into the town square, where you'll find a lovely set of gardens, the Baron's estate, a small tavern here to the side, and a blacksmith shop. And this is actually the upper area of the town where all the well-to-do citizens live. And this is quite a wealthy town, as it turns out, even if it isn't, particularly large. It seems Urasek is built atop an extremely rich and rare vein of mithril, and the town has been flourishing from the mining and smelting of this rare ore, and this, does kind of fill a gap in lore, since you see a lot of mithril armor in Oblivion, but there doesn't appear to be any sources to supply the material to make it. The curious thing here is that Urasek is divided not just by class, but also by race, of only Imperials and Elves living in the upper district, and the miners, which are Argonians and Khajiits, are forced to live in the bunkhouse while the mine where they work. And before we delve too much into this town's curious class structure though, here you can see Urasek on the map, and it's, not that far away from the Imperial City really. Basically just across the lake, again along the Red Ring Road here, and it does have a map marker naturally. Now, a lot of the NPCs have unique dialogue here, and there's even a number of quests for you to check out, assuming you pay attention to the dialogue and investigate leads. This mod uses a fairly traditional means of quest storytelling, so that means you don't have any quest markers for the most part. You just have to do things the old-fashioned way, like back in good old Morrowind. Use that sleuth nose of yours and your comprehensive journal to keep track of what's going on. And anyway, going back to the town here, you can see the tavern interior here. And it's a fairly standard fare choral-style tavern with drinking and eating areas towards the back, and a rather talkative barkeep that again has a lot of unique dialogue, including a quest for you to do. Really, the quests here are probably the main attraction. So many town mods lack any sort of story or quest to go with them, so it's nice to have a lot of extra content here. And moving on, here you can see the town blacksmith, who has a fair bit of bartering gold, about 1,000 I believe. A nice bit of mithril equipment naturally, and of course more quests and unique dialogue. Because, this town is stock full of quests and narratives with a really interesting quest line that could eventually result in a very different looking town at the end of it. I won't spoil anything, but let's just say the quest line here is very well done, and it'll definitely keep you interested. And anyway, real quick, I wanted to show off some of the common interiors that you'll find. And here you can see the miner's bunkhouse, which is rather suitably dark and a little depressing, to fit in with the plight of these poor miners. And here you can see one of the upper district homes, which is also quite dark as it turns out. A lot of these interiors actually err on the dark side with a pretty atmospheric use of lighting that I rather personally like myself. They're also nicely detailed with a fair bit of clutter and finishings as well. Now, in addition to the town itself, there's also a small new dungeon that you'll eventually unlock through the town's questline, including a set of cabins filled with creatures to clean out for the town's mining company, and a few other surprises for you to eventually uncover. There's really quite a lot of content for such a small village mod like this, and this one will probably keep you occupied for a few hours at the very least. And overall, Urasek is, quite frankly, a lovely little village along the Red Ring Road, with lots of little details, unique dialogue for most of the new NPCs, and several quests that'll definitely keep you interested for a good few hours. The town also has a small tavern where you can rent rooms, and a blacksmith with 1,000 gold to buy and sell from. And, with so much backstory and quests, this is the perfect little town for an adventurer, and I'd highly recommend checking it out. Next up, we have our new town of the week, and this week we have the town of Alnwick by MsFrankenstein. And Alnwick is a beautiful lakeside village in eastern Cyrodiil, a ways east of the Nibbin and the city of Reveal, in the middle of a large forest, and it's a fairly sizable town, truth be told, with about a dozen buildings including shops and PC homes and taverns, but it maintains a rather nice sort of rustic charm about it, with a scenic waterfront down by the lake, and a rather beautiful city design that includes a lot of verticality with streets, sloping upwards, with small little houses and shops along the way, like you can sort of see here. And this sort of gives the town a bit of a layering effect, with the waterfront being the lowest level and then 2 more street levels of buildings above it. Now, most of the shops here are on these first 2 levels, including a lot of gardens and scenic overlooks where you can get some, really nice views of the rest of the village here. The main square is actually up on this second level street, including some lovely bits of outside decor and clutter with an outdoor cafe that runs from the morning into the evening hours, serving bread, sweets, and various drinks. You'll often find the townsfolk just lounging around out here, enjoying another beautiful day in Alnwick. There's also a couple of residences and a blacksmith shop over here to the side, with some lovely gardens and even a small vegetable patch going there in the corner. And this is certainly a beautiful looking town that's quite charming on the outside, and you can see it on the map here, and it does come with a map marker naturally. This is a rather popular location though, so some odd conflicts are likely, such as with Cheshry's town compilation, which has a village in the exact same spot. It should be noted though that there is a patch for unique landscapes, so if you want to, you could play this mod with unique landscapes installed. And taking a look at some of the services in town, the village is extremely well stocked with various businesses and shops, including a communal tavern down by the waterfront, which serves food and drinks, and the barkeep here also comes with about 500 gold to work with, which isn't too bad. None of the NPCs, as far as I can tell, have any unique dialogue though. And next up we have the bookstore, which is a small little place that comes with 2 NPCs staffing it, including one who can sell you a variety of new clothing and attire to wear, and of course the other one who sells a wide variety of literature for you to read, and they both have a fair bit of, gold to work with. And there's also a general goods trader with a wide selection of fairly common goods for sale, including about 600 or 700 bartering gold to, buy random junk with, as is the traditional traders. And another thing to note here, I just wanted to show off a bit of the new armor set here that's included in this mod. If you so desire, you can buy this armor from the blacksmith. And last of all, there's an alchemy shop where you can find a variety of ingredients and potions for sale. And we're not actually going to show every shop in town here. There's a few more that we're going to be skipping, such as the bakery. But point is, there's a lot of goods and services for sale that make this a convenient village to stop in at after, adventuring for a while. And there's also a player house that you can purchase from the bookstore. It isn't very big or anything, just a small cottage up on the hill from town with some nice views overlooking the village. It's rather cosily decorated with a small dining room and study on the first floor, and a master bedroom up on the second floor, including a modest bit of storage and a fair bit of decorations. Now, overall, Alnwick is a charming little community in a truly scenic location, with lots of services to offer, from a bookshop to a general goods store, bakery, blacksmith, alchemy shop, and a tavern. There's also a lot of new items available for sale, with new armors and clothing, and there's even a player house that you can purchase for a small fee. And all in all, despite a potentially conflict-heavy area, this is a truly beautiful and, scenic little town to explore, and I'd really highly recommend checking it out. Finally, for our underrated town mod of the week this week, we have Mage's Cross by Antiscamp and updated by Imhan123. And Mage's Cross is a rather small village out in the Gold Coast region, a bit east and south of Anvil. And, truth be told, it's not terribly large, or really much to look at, honestly. The entrance into town is by a single road going through the town hall, which takes you straight into the city square, where you'll find the chapel, tavern, and several farming houses. The village is rather nicely detailed, with, little vegetable patches and small farms, as well as crates and barrels and, well, the other, basic daily detritus of a typical village. It's rather rustic and charming in a way, especially with the small gardens that lend a sort of, colourful feel to the place, and the sort of magic stone that the village is named after. There's also a small graveyard to the side, and it's really just a small and quiet hamlet where you can go to relax a bit. You can see Mage's Cross on the map here, and it's not terribly far away from Anvil. It's a pretty short commute overall, and of course it also includes a map marker. Now we're just going to take a quick look at some of the interiors here. This is the town hall, where you can find the mayor and his daughter most of the time tending to the village business. And most of the NPCs do have a very small bit of unique dialogue, though not a whole lot, mostly just a sentence or two. And as you might expect with a village of this size, it really doesn't have that many services. There's a tavern, which we're going to be skipping over here, which is, your typical sort of village tavern. And then there's a general goods merchant, which is actually a bit on the rich side, to be honest, with about 1,500 bartering gold and a ton of goods for sale, which should prove quite convenient. And the town does have a bit of a history to it, and there's a few books scattered about that give this village a little bit of a backstory. There's also a small player home here that you'll have to get by finding the key. And the backstory of the mod is that your aunt actually used to own this place before she passed away, and now it's yours for the taking, assuming, of course, that you can find the key to it in any event. And going back to the house here, down on the lower level, you'll find the dining room and kitchen area with a roaring fireplace and a few tables where you and a few guests can, take a meal. And going upstairs, you'll find a small study with a lot of bookshelves, which are, largely filled with books already. A closet for clothing where you can, potentially change outfits if you so desire. And, of course, the master bedroom. Most of the house comes with at least a few decorations already in place. And overall, Mage's Cross is a very small but, quite a charming and rustic hamlet with a few nice features, including a general goods store, a tavern, map market, and a player house that you can get. It might be worth checking out if you want to populate the countryside a bit more, or if you're looking for a small village to move into. And anyway, that pretty much wraps up this episode of Cities of Cyrodiil. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.